Just recently today, I've heard from two other victims that, so it's just a lot to talk about, that experienced the same thing that I experienced.
The people he was defending turned out to be alleged victims of T.D. Jakes' less than honorable side. It's a little tougher to argue with given the man's past, even though you would be quick to disbelieve it.
T.D. Jakes was hanging out at a rapper and twerking party that Puff Daddy held. He's sitting right there, old T.D. Snakes.
Even those who had attended the sessions were shocked to learn that a public preacher was present. You are aware that there have been speculations regarding Diddy and T.D. Jakes. How on earth could a pious man such as he be attending a party without sin? That's not the only way his bodyguard feels, though. He's a lot worse than he looks, according to several entertainment business insiders. They are also higher in one hemisphere than the other, as you can see.
See, they're up in another hemisphere than regular, too. They're very insulated. They can do what they want. They got people on.
For the past few weeks, T. Jakes has been operating against the usual flow of individuals in his area since the well-known bishop has been involved in some really unexpected news. His public appearances have since taken a far worse turn, with his name being linked to press reports about his detention. However, compared to most preachers, Jakes is actually no stranger to the limelight. Due to the expansion of his church and his friendships with prominent figures from the entertainment business, he has developed an almost unbreakable reputation in the community. You know what happens after an accomplishment like that? Star. It seems that the man's reputation extends beyond his sermons. Recent press reports suggest that he might not even follow his own teachings to the letter. Some theologians, like Bishop T.D. Jakes, seem to have managed to somehow reconcile biblical teachings with the entertainment industry, particularly hip-hop culture. There are successful theologians in the world. Apart from his associations with several prominent figures in the Black community and beyond, the man's impact is also felt in foreign nations. However, Jakes has faced ongoing criticism, like many religious leaders, because of his connections to several affluent individuals that the public finds questionable. However, the preacher had always brushed those charges off as baseless up until this point, because it seemed like he didn't care who he believed to be against him. These days, we're discovering that Jakes might not be the flawless saint that so many people have long held him to be. You see, the difficulty with getting sucked into controversy after controversy in a world where newsworthy events dominate society is that these problems eventually taint your participation in anything you might be involved in. This was only part of Jakes' story, as others started to question whether the bishop was truly innocent of the charges brought against him. The outrage around this fire grew when two people recently came forward to reveal that they had had disturbing personal experiences with the preacher's son. Furthermore, this episode made the preacher's son more credible in the eyes of the public, supporting the charges that have since been leveled against him. Even if he has been involved in more serious situations in the past, the timing of these reports couldn't be worse for him. You are just like the Senate, exactly like the Senate. Even if you disagree with the message T.D. Jakes teaches, it's quite rare that you haven't heard of him. He may have gotten media attention mostly because of his church, but a number of other news reports have also made him visible. The announcement of his son is one of those things that surprises you more than you may think. According to a Dallas police record, the son of megachurch pastor T.D. Jakes, who has called homosexuality a brokenness and declared he would never hire an out gay person, was arrested in a gay sting in Keys Park some time ago. Jermaine Donald Jakes was charged with indecent exposure after it was alleged that he had exposed himself in front of two undercover vice investigating officers. Senior CPL Janice Crowther, a DPD spokesman at the time, verified that the detectives were both guys. According to the arrest record, the police observed S activity while they were investigating a citizen's complaint. They saw that the lot east of the park was where Jake and a couple other males they couldn't identify had parked their cars. Unbuttoned pants revealing his nude body, Jake approached the investigators, who trailed him into a wooded area. Jake made his M for a few seconds while he was staring at one of the detectives, according to the affidavit. According to the affidavit, the well-known bishop's son did not attempt to conceal his fight from people strolling and jogging along a nearby trail. Jermaine Jakes listed TD Jakes Ministries as his place of employment in court documents, which most people considered strange considering the circumstances. But after being taken into custody, Jakes was freed right there. For those who do not know, TD Jakes is the founder of the 300 to 000 member South Dallas Church Potter's House. On the other hand, the preacher in this story is adamantly against same-sex unions. HIV/AIDS activists have even criticized him for stigmatizing drug use and homosexuality, which in turn undermines attempts to prevent the disease, despite the fact that his kid is seen in this photo being physically caught without pants on. Jake earlier told USA Today, "I have not found scriptural authority that enables me to declare you to be husband and wife on behalf of God." In reference to same-sex marriage, the government is unclear on the best course of action in this regard. Not so with the Bible. Jermaine Jakes' attorney, Faith Johnson, issued a formal statement the next week. "We are aware of such claims surrounding Jermaine Jakes, and we are looking into them ourselves right now," according to the statement. "Because of what appears to be a government investigation, we are unable to comment further at this time." After Manasseh Jordan, one of the preacher's former mentees, stated in a recent video that victims of the accused power-bottom bishop are preparing to sue him, the preacher may soon have to face SIA claims in court. The fact that his son was embroiled in an uncommon controversy is already a sign of diligence. You remember that I said he had accusations made against him. That is precisely what I intended to say. Not only had two of the offenders written essays, but they were also victims of what I had just explained. As a result, other victims have come forward and he has communicated with them. Manasseh Jordan, a former student of Bishop TD Jakes, claimed to have received training from the well-known Dallas pastor. It's no secret that Manasseh Jordan most likely once placed his head on Bishop TD Jakes' shoulders, as the widely circulated photo shows. It appears that Diddy is putting his head on the Black Pope's shoulders. It looks like Manasseh has escaped the enemy at last, and he is taking use of his position to help additional victims. In a video he made on December 30, Manasseh discussed the new victims who have come forward against Bishop TD Jakes. Today, I was informed by two other victims who experienced the same event as me that the subject is simply too intense to discuss. Two more victims who experienced the same thing as me told me today that there is simply too much to talk about, as Manasseh said in the video. Manasseh alleges that two victims he dealt with were allegedly groomed by Bishop TD Jakes, and S.I. Manasseh asserted in a different scene in the movie that the two victims he met had talked about the G, which Bishop TD Jakes was allegedly in charge of. He also said that the victims said Bishop Jakes had S.I. them. Manasseh Jordan claimed that two of the perpetrators were victims of both S.A. or S abuse, from the same predator who had groomed and violated me as a man, in addition to G, as I had previously described in several of my films. They are going to be charged with something. From the same one, my grooming predator. It's one thing to publicly oppose LGBT individuals. It is another else entirely for your youngster to be ensnared in the very web you abhor. But I believe it's a completely different matter for you to become involved in those very stories that you so vehemently condemn, particularly when there's a real and present risk that it will lead to a drawn-out court battle. Manasseh's video touched a lot of people, and many of them talked about his discovery about the preacher on social media. Someone said, "I believe Manasseh would have started crying if he had said anything more. He was really near. I think he was a victim, or very nearly was, despite his denials to the contrary." Depressing. One participant, more focused on the others standing with the alleged attacker, remarked, "I have personally seen and experienced this. His collapse gave me shivers. The enchantment that leads devotees to revere these men and women as gods must be broken. Naturally, the entire story hasn't come to light yet. And while you may be quick to criticize these people for making these judgments without all the facts, TD Jakes' record wasn't exactly impeccable before these most recent charges. Just a few weeks ago, the preacher got involved in a situation involving a rapper. That did not, to put it mildly, give him any more legitimacy. It's no secret that social media has evolved into a dynamic space where users can establish their reputation, follow or buck trends, and engage in contentious debates. This booming online industry is demonstrated by a recent case involving well-known pastor TD Jakes and rapper P Diddy. Rather than his religious convictions, TD Jakes, who really doesn't require an introduction at this point, rose to prominence on social media due to rumors about his relationship with P Diddy. There has been a lot of speculation and conspiracy theories generated by the unusual alliance between these two polar opposites. Although scandal is nothing new for Diddy, actual name Sean Combs, this new knowledge adds a new level of controversies to his already tumultuous career. The internet anger around these well-known individuals is centered on a series of charges made by TikTok star Maisha. The main component is a widely circulated video in which she accuses Diddy of abusing both Cassie physically and romantically during their prior relationship. Among the startling revelations were tales of the craziest parties Diddy allegedly threw, where TD Jakes was reported to be a frequent visitor. The mention of Diddy's late ex-girlfriend Kim Porter's concealed phone in the video served to feed the flames even more. In the past, Diddy's name was frequently brought up in relation to Kim Porter's death, which was already surrounded by rumors and mystery. This stunning video went viral online, shocking fans even more in light of Bishop Jakes' alleged involvement in these questionable activities. As soon as word spread that he was allegedly dating Diddy, a number of followers hopped on the bandwagon, with one even declaring that this was just the beginning. And this also applied to how the ministry was run. It's not over yet that Jake often shows up at P Diddy's gatherings. As events unfold, check back for updates.